Good. How are you?
Uh,
Dr.
I'm doing wonderful. Just
There you go, Dr. Drawhood. I see you. We got 10 in the waiting room. So I just wanted to make sure we had your blessings on this platform and before we let everybody in.
Absolutely.
Hi, Dr. Drawhood.
Hi, how are you, Jolie? I see
Good, good,
Mr.
good to see you.
Lively on, and
yes, ma'am.
I see Tiffany's trying to
Trying to
connect.
connect, yeah. Oh, no, Tiffany, it looked like it's having a little challenge connecting.
Yeah, let me try to call her.
Okay.
And Dr. Harper, can you let me in on my phone too? I'm in the waiting room. I'm trying to get on from my phone as well.
Yes, ma'am.
There we go. Thank you.
Yes. Hey, I'm gonna let everybody else in. Looks like we're mid all. Here we go. We have more people coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the platform. We have more people coming in. Coming in. They representing tonight. Okay, all right. We representing tonight. Well, it is officially 6 o'clock. I guess we can go ahead and get started. I want to say good evening, We are super excited about this opportunity today. We are getting ready to take on a new challenge today. And this challenge is to make a difference in our communities. And it starts with the young people. I always say that, you know, our young people are in a unique position in 2021 to make a big impact and to promote positive change in their communities. And so what we want to do today is to take a few minutes to acknowledge the 3 universities that are participating today. We have Alcorn University. Do we have anybody here from Alcorn? I look like I see an Alcorn background.
You have Alcorn State University here in the house.
All right.
Yes,
that's what
Alcorn is well represented.
Alcorn State University, we're here.
Alcorn
Alcorn State University.
All right.
Alcorn State University.
All right. All right.
Well, well, well. All righty then.
Next up, we have Southern University. Southern, y'all in the house?
We are here, present and accounted for.
Absolutely.
Southern chime in.
Absolutely.
We're here. Let's go, Jags.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
Right.
we're here.
It sounds like the SWAC is in the house today. All right. And then we have University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Maryland Eastern Shore. May be logging on. Okay, I see we have a few in the waiting room, so they may be logging on. So we do have some special NFL guests today. I see my man, Brother Andrew Gibbons. Brother Gibbons, you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Good afternoon. Great seeing everyone. Looking forward to today's discussion.
Absolutely. We have Lifford Hibley. Mr. Hibley is the NFL alumni president for the Dallas chapter. Mr. Hibley.
Good afternoon, students. Looking forward to engaging and see if we can move the needle on social justice in this market.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if former Dallas Cowboy Carl Miller is on at this time, but he should be momentarily. But we do have Tony Covington. He's actually going to be the presenter tonight. So as you can see, we got his nice bio pic up there. He's going to be our guest speaker. So we'll give him the floor in a second. But before we get started, we always like to start with collecting. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. We got Prairie View on here. I see in the chat. Dr. Drawhood, where you represent Prairie View? Who else we got from Prairie View?
I think it's just me tonight, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Well,
I'm here to support the other universities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any student songs? All of our students. We love to see your face. I'm trying to see. I see the grown folks. I'm looking for the students now. Where the students at?
Here.
Is that Candace Gaston?
Yes, this is me
Candace,
from BTW,
BT.
Booker T. Washington High School.
Okay, all right.
Hello.
Miss Candace, because you the first one that said something, if you put your cash out in the chat, I'm gonna bless your game today, Miss Gaston.
Hold on, Doc. Wait a minute.
Put your cash app in the chat.
Good
I'm gonna
job.
take care of you today. Who else we got on here? What other students we got? Please, we want to see your face, man. Is that Miss Carter?
Yes, sir.
Miss Carter, don't be acting like you shy. Where you from, Miss Carter?
Booker T. Washington,
Okay, what city is that in?
Shreveport.
The real city. What do you mean? What
Oh,
city
you
is it
beat-
in, Doctor?
Oh, you a BT Lion, BT Dog Lion. Okay, all right. I know a little bit about that. Okay, we got CE Bird. I'm seeing in the chat. All right. Well, this is what I want to do. before we get started, I'm going to post a link in the chat. I want y'all to click on that link and fill out the pre-survey. We're going to fill out the pre-survey. Yes, indeed. We got this Louisiana. I see Patrick Jackson, former NFL player Patrick Jackson. Brother Jackson, how you doing?
Great, brother. I'm in the car coming in from East Texas. So
all right.
Even if I cut my camera on, you couldn't see me, but I'm glad to be a part of it for free, just to check you guys out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I have a couple of my I call them my technology specialists. We have Don Decor. Don is going to be with us today. And then we also have Catherine. Catherine is a student at Texas A&M University, Texarkana. She's one of the student leaders, and she's participated in several of our social justice summit. So at this time, I am going to put a pin in it, and I am going to pass it to Miss Jolie. She's going to do the welcome. Miss Jolie.
Thank you, Dr. Harper. Good evening and welcome to everyone that's joining us tonight for our Beyond Change Virtual Social Justice Summit, presented in partnership with the Hope Initiative, Southern University Baton Rouge, Alcorn State University, and University of Maryland Eastern Shore 4-H Extension programs. Before we begin, I would like to thank you all for taking time out of your evening to spend with us addressing social justice issues on your campus and in your community. Know that this is a safe space for you to be transparent, honest, and your most authentic self, and we encourage participation, and we are very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts and perspectives. Now I would like to take the opportunity to introduce NFL veteran, Mr. Tony Covington. Mr. Covington spent 5 years playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks. He is also an author and motivational speaker who encourages and inspires his audiences through his I Am Underdog platform. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Tony Covington.
Greetings, everyone. I am happy to be here this evening to share a lot. We've got a lot of work to do, and we want to make sure that we equip you. Getting a little feedback there.
That'll come if you have your cell phone and your lap and your computer rolling at the same time. So you may want to kind of separate those two.
All right. Can you all hear me now? Is that better? All right. Our goal is to equip you with social justice concepts and a thorough understanding of just what it is, so that you are equipped to go out into your communities and to do this great work. None of us can do it alone. And so this is a united front. We as the older generation, the more seasoned generation, as I'll put it, we understand these concepts, and this is a youth movement. So we want to make sure that you are equipped. So as you go out to be on the front lines, understand that we are your support. We are your backboard. And so when you face resistance, understand that you will get resisted. You may get pushed back, but you'll be pushed back into your support, which is us, so that we'll push you back out into the fight so that you can begin again and get this work done. Let's get started.
Next, there we go. We already done the pre-survey, so there we go. Yes.
All right. Now, here are the goals and outcomes. This is going to be an interactive show, so I would like folks to really have their pictures up. I will be calling names because it's in order. I am a firm believer in when you are understanding and learning concepts, you read them and you remember them. You commit them more so to memory. So I'll start out in this first one talking about the goals, but as we move forward with the concepts, I will be calling out on individuals to read the definitions, and I've just because I'm an interactive type of guy. All right. Goal number one, participants will be able to define social justice and provide examples of social justice. Number two, participants will become aware of their intersectional identities and how it impacts their views, awareness, and understanding of social inequality and social justice issues. And lastly, Participants will be able to identify social justice issues in their communities and come up with potential solutions to address them utilizing social capital resources. Number 1, intersectionality. All right. Can I get a student to read this first one for me? All right, I will call names even if I don't see your faces.
I'll do it.
All right, thank you.
Intersectional theory asserts that people are often disadvantaged by multiple sources of oppression: their race, class, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, and other identity markers.
Excellent. Now, intersectionality, when we think of intersectionality, we think of words like connection, togetherness, association, correspondence, and correlation, to name a few. Now, why is it important? Well, what it does, it provides a lens through which we can examine the processes, practices, policies, and structures that increase the risk of individuals experiencing disadvantage or discrimination because of their intersectional social identities or characterizations. Now, what are social identities and characterizations? Next slide. All right, so here we are. Age, language, gender, race, ethnicity, all of these things, these are the things that I love this image because, this describes us as a people. We deal with a lot on the surface, but people have no idea of everything that's going on underneath. All of these markers that we are identified by, these are the social characterizations that I was just discussing: culture, education, skill set, income level, gender identity, physical ability. This is what society says we should be characterized in all of these. These are the intersectional touch points that society says that exist. I like to use an example of with this whole thing here of being a duck. When you see a duck floating on a pond, it looks like it's effortless and it's just floating smoothly across the pond. But underneath the surface, there's so much going on because that duck is really working legs to get across that pond, but you never know because it has a cool demeanor. So I equate this as to the iceberg. People see the things on top, not knowing everything that's going on below the surface. So, hey, when in doubt, be a duck. Next slide. All right, diversity. Can I get someone to read the definition, please?
Diversity. Differences among people with respect to ages, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, gender, physical and mental ability, race, sexual orientation, spiritual practices, and other human differences. Then in part 2015.
Excellent, excellent. Variety. Our country is a melting pot of different individuals. Diversity means understanding that each individual is unique and recognizing those individual differences. You may not like those individual differences, but at least respect their right to be individually different. Next slide, please. Inclusion. Someone please read. All right.
Inclusion, a state of being valued, respected, and supported. Inclusion authentically puts the concept and practice of diversity into action by creating an equitable environment where the richness of ideas, backgrounds, and perspectives are harnessed.
Okay, excellent. Inclusion is providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. I'm sorry, such as those who have physical or mental disabilities and members of other minority groups. Something that does not leave out any part or any group out. An example of an inclusive nature is a school that has students of all races and backgrounds. The most important part of the word inclusion that you see circled is us, simply because at our core, although our struggles may be different, although the color of our skin may be different, etc., etc., we are all beings, human beings. Next slide, please. Equality versus equity. Now, as we look at this ball game and have a discussion, let's look at, it looks equal. You know, everybody has an opportunity with the boxes on the left, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. So then what about, but is it equitable for everybody on the left?
Nope.
All right. So now on the right, what makes it equitable? What makes it equity on that right-hand side?
Everyone can see the game.
Very good, very good. Next slide. Now we're going to break that down. Equality. Can I get a reader, please?
I'll read.
All right.
Equality is about sameness. Equality promotes fairness and justice by giving everyone the same thing. It can only work if everyone starts from the same place.
Absolutely. So it is about sameness. You know, we as a race have been fighting for equality for 400 plus years. All we wanted to do is have can we get you to mute your phones, please? Thank you. We have, for 400 plus years, we've been battling and fighting for equality. We want an even playing field. So they said, okay, we'll make it equal for everybody. But as you can see, it's not equitable for everyone. Next slide. Can I get a reader, please?
Equity is about fairness. Equity gives people access to the same opportunities. Our differences or history can create barriers to participation. So we must first ensure equity before we can enjoy equality.
Exactly. And so as we fight, we want to be really pushing for equity. We want equality. You know, we appreciate, hey, look, it is about fairness and sameness, but until we get equity, we're kind of hustling backwards a little bit. And so the fight for us has to, as we move forward, has to be equity and equality. Next slide, please.
Now to college basketball fans and beyond, calling foul after seeing this video posted on TikTok by an athlete participating in the women's NCAA tournament. Many were outraged to see the difference in the workout facilities given to the men's and women's teams during March Madness. But there is so much more to this story, and Eva Pilgrim is with us now. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. You know this. Women have long been fighting for equity in sports. Basic things like uniforms, training facilities, and equipment in sports. But in these pictures, everyone can now see the difference is glaring.
This morning, following a major backlash and calls of blatant inequality.
Guess what, guys? We got a weight room, yeah!
The NCAA upgrading the weight room for the student athletes at the Women's March Madness tournament. The weight room installed after University of Oregon forward Sedona Prince posted a TikTok video that went viral.
This is our weight room. Let me show y'all the men's weight room.
That video now viewed more than 7 million times, igniting instant criticism. Stanford coach Tara Vanderveer tweeting, "This cannot continue to be business as usual." Going on to write, "Women athletes and coaches are done waiting, not just for upgrades of a weight room, but for equity in every facet of life." South Carolina coach Dawn Staley says the disparities are glaring.
No, we shouldn't be happy with just getting the bare minimum. If the men got a tournament off and they're rolling out the red carpet for them, then that's our expectation.
The NCAA responding.
I care about women's basketball and women in sport. We fell short this year.
But it's not just the weight room. The COVID tests different. For the men's tournament, the more accurate PCR tests. At the women's, antigen tests. The NCAA saying that both forms of testing were equally effective models. And another major complaint, the food. This video getting nearly 4 million views.
It looks like we got some kind of meat here.
The NCAA says it immediately addressed the issue with the hotels and spoke with teams about finding more flexible food options. Another complaint? A quick look at the official March Madness Twitter account. The bio reads, the official NCAA March Madness destination for all things Division I NCAA men's basketball. No mention of the women's tournament.
And South Carolina coach John Staley tweeting this blistering statement, quote, how do we explain that to our players? How can an organization that claims to care about all member institution student athlete experiences have a copyrighted term that only represents one gender? And Robin, I want you to know, I checked the official March Madness Twitter again this morning. The bio is still the same. No mention of the 64 women's team participating in this tournament.
So they still haven't changed it?
They have not changed it.
Even after what Dawn put out there and people now knowing that. All right. Eva, thank you so much. I played college ball in the 80s. You would think after all of this time, and it's so blatant.
Right.
But the reaction from people, it was heartwarming to see people reacting, not just athletes and not just fans of the sport, but just saying, because sport is a microcosm of society.
Yes, exactly. And I was going to ask you if you felt like maybe there's going to be some change because of the reaction, that it is so different this time.
We're going to ask Christine Brennan about that in our next hour.
All right, looking forward to
Hey,
that.
you set me up with that really good.
Perfect.
That was a great assist. That was a nice bounce.
Oh,
pass.
thank you. All right.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out.
All right, now you get a little bit of taste of the equity piece because, you know, unfortunately, being a former college athlete, you know, I can look to an example like this and it really gets under my skin because it's about money. And that's unfortunate. You know, the way they look at it, the men's game brings in so many more dollars and through advertising, television, and the women's game does not. So they treat that disparity simply because of dollars and cents. And it's unfortunate because the women are the ones that are actually leading. They're leading and they're in the forefront of any movement that we have. And so it's just disrespectful. So, you know, as we go forward, I want you guys to be thinking about equitable situations that you may have encountered in your own lives where you're like, wow, you know what, that just wasn't fair how we were treated, and why was that the case? All right, now let's dig a little bit more into some social justice issues in 2021. All right, social justice is defined as, can I get a reader, please?
I'll read.
Okay, thank you.
Social justice, a vision of a society wherein the distribution of resources, opportunity, societal benefits, and protection is equitable for all members. Social justice involves social actors who have a sense of their own agency, as well as a sense of social responsibility toward and with others and the society as a whole.
Thank you so much. I mean, social justice is justice in terms of the distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges within a society. There are 4 interrelated principles of social justice: equity, access, participation, and rights. The ultimate goal of social justice is the full and equal participation of all groups in a society that is mutually shaped to meet their needs. However, that does assume that we are in a society in which distribution of resources is equitable and all members are physically and psychologically safe and secure. Next slide, please. Injustice. May I have a reader, please?
Injustice, unequal treatment wherein the rights of a person or a group of people are restricted, ignored, or restricted.
Thank you. This is one of my favorite quotes. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, when we talk about injustice, is something that is not fair or just or a violation of another's rights or what is right. When we think of injustice, we think of words like unfairness, corruption, bias, prejudice, cruelty, inequity, suppression. An example of injustice is when an innocent person is sent to jail for a crime that he or she did not commit. Next slide.
All right, so this slide here, brother. Okay. Y'all might remember this music for some of my more seasoned people on here. So let's see what, let's see if this tune rings a bell. Any of my students, do y'all remember that tune? Any of my students, do y'all know that song? I know some of my other colleagues know it, but any of the young students, can y'all tell?
Yes.
Who is it? Do y'all know who sing that song? Students?
Sam Cooke.
All right then. All right. Well, Miss Moulton.
Very good.
Yes, since you got it, put your cash out in the chat. I'm gonna send you some, Miss Moulton. All right. All right. Good deal. All right, Brothers Covington, you got it.
All right, next slide, please. All right, we're going to jump into some breakout rooms to have some dialogue with some of the NFL veterans that are on the call. What we ask you to do, this will be an opportunity to discuss current issues of social injustice through each person's lens. The group facilitators will lead the conversation around the context of the group's discussion. Each breakout room will choose a representative to share the collective learning experience from their discussions. Now, if you in my group, we're gonna be on fire with our discussion. So whoever Dr. Harper puts me with, I want y'all to be ready and let's go. All right.
Absolutely. So in each breakout rooms, I want to make sure we talk about this as well. There's going to be an NFL player in the room that's going to read a set of questions. Also, you're going to have some technology experts in the room with you as well. So one of the technology experts is going to be Don Decor. You're going to have Catherine, and you're going to have Miss Jolie. So once you're in here, you're going to have these conversations, and they're going to capture some of your feedback. And then we're going to need a couple of students once you come out of your breakout rooms. We're going to need a couple of students to volunteer to share with the group what you talked about in your breakout room. So we're expecting some great conversations. I do want to say I see another former NFL player has joined the platform, Mr. Carl Miller. Mr. Carl Miller, how you doing today, sir?
I am well. It's good to be here. Good to see you again, Dr. Harper and all the team. I look forward to the conversations with the young people and all the dependency that we're looking for them to bring some change to our country through the social justice movement here. So I'm excited about this evening.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Brother Miller. So what we're going to do now, I am going to open up the breakout rooms. You're going to see a blue button on your computer screen. I want you to click that button. Now, some of the participants won't have that blue button. They will just stay in this main breakout room. But if you see a blue button on your screen, please join your breakout room. Dawn, I have text you your, Dawn, are you there, Dawn? Maybe she's gone, okay. All right, let's see. I think this is everybody. Okay, so Brother Covington, I don't know how many students we have in this group. Students, can y'all identify yourself?
I'm here.
Do me a favor and just put your hand up in in the reaction, then I'll know who the students are.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So let's.
That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead. I am going to share my screen. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me know if y'all are able to see this screen.
Yes, sir.
I can see it.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
All right.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Okay, excellent.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Back on you, brother.
All right, let's get it going. Let's get it going. What does social justice look like to you? Now, remember, let's go back to our definition of what it is. Now, it's justice in terms of distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges within the society. Talk to me, Jaden.
Hello?
Yep, talk to me.
Can you repeat your question?
What does social justice look like to you?
I don't know.
Okay, remember our definition. All right, and there are the four interrelated principles of social justice: equity, access, participation, and rights. The ultimate goal is the full equal participation of all groups in a society that is mutually shaped to meet their needs.
Yes, sir.
All right, so think about that. Caden, how about you?
Candace wanted to answer too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Candace.
I think
What I feel like,
oh, sorry. I feel like social justice would look like no matter what type of like, you know, the Black Lives Matters thing, like it wouldn't exist if it like people had like, I don't know.
So for you, it exists with a Black Lives Matter platform.
I guess it's more like, I don't know how to explain it, but
Okay, so if you had to say it in one word, what would you say?
togetherness, I guess.
Okay, okay. We'll rock with that.
My bad.
No, that's all good. That's that's why we're having this discussion. Okay. So hey, keep jumping in there. Candace Gaston.
Okay, so you know how they had the women's versus the men's basketball. So that would be dealing with race. I mean, not race, but like sexuality. Women's and men should be treated equally. So I feel like wait, that's basically like, cause like when we was watching the video, the women and the men were treated different. So I feel like in the world we shouldn't be treated different by our sexuality.
Agreed. I agree. Okay. I think Caden wanted to go.
An equal society.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
I can go.
Sure.
So I remember we brought up equity and equality, and that stuck out to me because I've been doing a speech analysis on Martin Luther King's speech, and I thought they were like basically the same thing, but now I see that they're not, and we need both of them.
Agreed. And honestly, that's the one of the big things is that we're so busy fighting for equality that we don't realize that, man, it's there isn't a sense of fairness even with equality if we don't have the equity side. So very good. That's impressive. Thank you for that. Jaslyn.
Okay, well, I was thinking like different privileges and opportunities they had, like they weren't equal as much as we are now. Like some people couldn't do what they did, what they saw them do, along with others. So I feel like it had something to do with opportunity and privileges. They had a certain extent of it. That's
okay. Opportunity and privileges. Very nice. Very nice. Anyone else?
Can I go again?
Absolutely.
So you know how for health we have to pay, and some people don't have Medicare and stuff. I understand that the hospital, nothing is free in life, but I feel like they should, like for people that don't have Medicare or don't know how to set up to get Medicare or Medicaid, it should be like they should still be able to be seen without having to pay before they get seen.
Absolutely. That's one of the buzzwords, access to healthcare. Very nice. Very nicely done. Anyone else? Great job, you guys. Great job. Next question.
Do we have any other adults who want to chime in?
I will call on adults too now. I'm just saying, I wanted to put that out there. All right, we'll push forward. What does injustice look like to you? Remember injustice, something that is not fair or just or a violation of another's rights of what is right. Unfairness, corruption. Yes, please.
Okay, so for like abortions, some people like they made if I'm not mistaken, they made a law that says you cannot have an abortion in some states, and I feel like that is injustice because if it's necessary for that woman, if she feels that she is not able to take care of that baby or whatever the cause may be, she should be able to have an abortion.
Excellent point. And for the life of me, I can't understand how men can tell a man can tell what a woman what to do with her body. But that's a whole nother discussion and a whole nother topic. But thank you. Candace, you got something for me here? Remember our buzzwords: unfairness, corruption, bias, prejudice, cruelty, suppression, inequity.
Like I've been seeing like homeless, like the way the government like treats homeless people. I've been seeing some I've seen some posts where I think in New York where they put these uncomfortable coverings above the vents, so now homeless people can't like in the winter they can't like, they'll probably freeze or something, or the way they like homeless people don't really get that much. I don't know. I'm trying to find a word for it. I don't know.
Yeah, so basically that the homeless don't have an option, and the one that they found to keep themselves warm, they're taking it away from them.
Yes,
Does
sir.
that kind of hit it for you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, Jaslyn said, I feel like something to do with gender and also to add to Candace's unfair labor practices. Then we have another one. Could it be something to do with the government only gives certain people food stamps?
Most definitely.
We have something in the chat too.
Yeah, Candace, you have another one?
Wouldn't racial still be a topic in injustice? Because like we as black people are what is the word? We are racially profiled as being as one. Like if we go inside a store and it's white owned, they will usually watch black folks. And that shouldn't, like, if one black person did something, that shouldn't be what's set out for every black person that goes inside this store, because we are all our own person. We are different, so we shouldn't be judged as he or she is black, so we need to watch that person.
I like it.
We have some comments in the
Yeah.
in the chat box. Police brutality, oppression, and have one that says having to work harder to get where they are than the next person. And I'm assuming they're talking about because of the color of your skin or your ethnicity, or like some companies making it mandatory to take the COVID shot. Those are some of the things that are in the chat.
Yep, COVID mandates.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one, I believe, D. Marcel, everybody not having the same opportunity as others, same opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Good comments, great comments.
I had one that just the overall gerrymandering and really trying to suppress the vote. And we have one in the chat. somebody may not hire someone because of their skin or race. So unequal hiring practices, unfair hiring practices. Y'all on fire. I am loving this. Anyone else? All right, adults, you got something for me? All right, next question. Where have you seen social justice / injustice in the last 2 years?
The Black Lives Matter movement in 2020.
Okay. All right, you got something for me, Caden? How about you, Candace G?
In my opinion, is you can just go outside, or it's in my opinion, I feel like it's really a day-to-day thing where something happens. I can't really. I was once you got on the slide, I was thinking, I was like, just like a time, like I just feel like it's every other day that something is happening or being talked about that's not right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You have two comments in the chat.
Stop
One
Asian
is,
hate. Stop the Asian hate movement.
and George Floyd. And would kneeling during the national anthem count?
So would that be an act of social justice? Kaylee? Or social injustice? There you go. Kneeling for the flag, Dr. Harper.
Yes, sir.
Or kneeling during the national anthem, excuse me. We have one in the chat, Candace, the shootings and shooting threats. Bullying. How about the unnecessary, this Karen syndrome of white women constantly calling the police on Black men when they aren't threatened at all, but just because they know that they can call and the police will come because they've seen what happens. So they're using a privilege that they have, the Karen syndrome.
I agree with that one.
What about not really people not wanting to admit that there is a such thing as white privilege?
Denial of white privilege. Whew. That's a really good one.
Did anyone say the vaccination on this?
Mm-mm.
They are really pushing COVID shots. I know I had went to the fair and I think I heard my auntie say if you get the vaccination, you get to get on the rides for free.
Mm-hmm.
So like they are really pushing everyone. They really doing pretty much anything and everything to get people to be convinced to take the shot.
Okay. So do you think that's injustice?
I feel like that's injustice because people we have I remember if you they're basically what's it called? They're bribing us to get it for something that we may want or need.
Oh, we lost you.
They was getting loud in there. I turned it off. They bribing us because I know I be hearing stuff about like they was like they're doing a cause and effect. If you get the vaccination, then you get to get this or whatever. But I know I just heard that if you get the vaccination, then you get to get on the rides for free. No, I heard that like the other day,
Okay.
and I was like,
Okay. Understood. Anyone else? All right, next question, please. How did the murder of George Floyd make you feel in one word? Devastated.
Disturbed.
We have speechless. Disappointed.
You have uneasy, disturbed, helpless. Wow.
Worthless. Depressed.
Mournful.
Mournful. Numb. Unsafe. Frightened. Flabbergasted.
I got one. I was
Sure.
pissed off.
Yeah, indeed. Scared. Weak. Angry. Hurt. We had uneasy. Yeah, we have uneasy up there. We have that one. Upset. Sick. Terrified. Distressed. Anxious. Great job, everyone. Great job.
I think I
All
captured
right, Doc.
everybody. This was an
I
excellent
think
job.
so. I think we captured everything.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Next question.
Okay, I do have I do want to spend a little time on this slide because some of the words on here, these feelings, is like I can't remember, but somebody said something and we said, "Oh, it was a powerful word," and I thought I was going to remember it, but I can't remember it. But I would like to just say,
Flabbergasted.
was flabbergasted. Okay, who shared? If you don't mind, can you share why you felt flabbergasted about this, the death of George Floyd? Does anybody want to chime in about how any of their responses to give us a little background of why you felt like that?
Can the adults chime in?
Absolutely.
Well, I said I was hurt, and when I saw the word flabbergasted, I could relate to that too. I just couldn't believe in this day and time that something like that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I right there on the streets of Minnesota. I just, it was beyond belief that it was happening, and people just let it happen. And he just sat there on that man's neck all that time. I just couldn't believe it. And I wanted to turn away from the television screen, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't believe it was happening.
Agreed. And I think I was angry for the same reason, and just because of the callous nature and the just look on his face, hands in pocket, like, yeah, I can do this because I'm an officer of the law and I'm white and nobody is going to touch me, you know, and
I'm in control. There's nothing you can do.
Yes, I was so angry just because of that. Not, you took a man's life as he screamed for his dead mother's, you know, for his dead mother, and that shook me to my core.
Yeah, and for me, I was upset, pissed off. I shared here in this platform because, you know, some of my friends, they kept telling me about it, but I didn't want to see it because I couldn't believe it. And although I'm older and I know these things have happened in the past, but it took it to another level when you could just see it play out in video, and the bystanders were helpless and couldn't even do nothing. And I've had conversations with police officers. I was like, look, there needs to be some kind of app or something where we could, you know, if we see something like this happening, we should be able to phone in and send a message or something to the supervisor of that department so somebody could have called, because the other officers that were on the scene, I felt like they were scared to even approach Derek Chauvin because he was their superior or something like that. So I just felt like there should have been some kind of thing, something, there needs to be some kind of app or some kind of way that, you know, innocent bystanders can alert supervision or police supervisors. Because I mean, if that was my best friend, if I would have went to try to tackle the police, then it'd have been two dead black men instead of one. Okay, is that it? Do we have anybody else that want to make any comments? If not, we can move on to the next question. We have about 24 minutes, so we can go to the next question.
Okay. Yeah, we have about 5 more questions. Okay. What do you think about the protests that followed in one word? Necessary. Needed. Important. Bravery. Powerful. Informational. Empowering. Uplifting. Inspiring. Some were unpeaceful. Encouraging. Curious. Awareness. Heroism. Sympathetic. Yeah, I think we have encouraging there. Hopeful. Eye-opening. Bold. Pride. Dr. Harper, you want to dig in on this one a little bit more as well?
Yeah, because what took place, I mean, as you can see from the pictures, you had young kids. I mean, you had different people just coming together from different backgrounds. And what I'm curious about, I live in a rural area, so we didn't have any protesting in the country. The population 134 where I'm at, so we had no protesting at all. But there were some protestings in some of, I stayed not too far from Shreveport, Louisiana. And so I saw some protesting there. I saw some in Tyler, Texas, and so I'm curious about the young people on this platform. Did y'all get involved in any of the peaceful protesting? Because some of the students that I worked with from New York, they got involved in the protesting, in particular in Brooklyn. And what they noticed, like when the sun went down, their group stayed together until the sun went down. When the sun went down, they went home because other people were coming in and starting to loot. So I'm curious to hear from the young people on this platform, did they get involved, or their parents, or do y'all know anybody in your community that actually protested?
Interesting.
Nobody. What about any of the adults? Did any of the adults know anybody who went out and protested?
Yes, I did. I know my daughters did. At the time, they both in high school. Several of my friends were out on the front lines. Several former student athletes that I mentor. So I know a lot of folks that were engaged.
Okay. I am seeing in the chat there were several no's in the chat. Someone said they stayed in because of COVID. Gotcha.
Yeah, I participated in one of the marches, and then it was very uplifting and very inspiring. But we did do it for maybe the day, and then we went home at night. But there was no violence. It was just we marched from the downtown area to our capital, and it was very inspiring.
Thank you for sharing. Guess we can go to the next slide.
All right. Where have you experienced injustice in the past?
I got a story to kick us off if y'all don't mind.
Please indulge.
Okay, so back in about 2000 and maybe 7, I think 2007, 2008, I was a young administrator. I was like in my late 20s, like 28, 29, right? And so my ultimate goal was to always become a college president. So I went, got my education, got my doctorate degree. I started working at a community college. And so I was the director of institutional effectiveness. And my office was right next door to the boardroom, right? And so for all of my colleagues that work in higher education, you know how the president of the university have their council, and they have these meetings, these presidential council meetings. So I was in my office preparing a report, and they were getting ready to go into this meeting. And one of the administrative assistants, which was a white lady, it was early in the morning, so I was eating a banana in my office. And the white lady passed my office and she said, "Look, there's a monkey eating a banana," right? And so there was this. Now, I was the youngest administrator on campus. And so there were about 3 other Black women that were on there. And so they always looked out for me like I was their son. So they just making sure that, I was on the right track, and they just kept me in the loop of what's going on. So one of the black ladies, she was passing by to my office, and I called her in. I asked her, did you hear what she said? And she said, what did she say? I told her, she said, look, there's a monkey eating a banana. And that sister went in that boardroom and lit that woman up. And so the woman came back and apologized to me. And so, but that wasn't good enough for me. So what I did, I went to the vice president for academic affairs, and I reported to the vice president, and I filed a complaint. And so out of that complaint, about 2 semesters later, they named me the director of student development and diversity. And then I started planning all of the diversity training campus-wide for faculty and staff. So that injustice of what she shared with me, I mean, that what she said about me, look, there's a monkey eating a banana, turned into me getting another opportunity to kind of do some of the work that we're doing now. But I sense, think about it now at my older state. Yeah, she lucky. She lucky I'm a nice person, because that could have got really ugly. I'll say that. And I just wanted to start there with that personal story, and I'll be quiet. I'm be quiet.
Great story. Great story. Any of my young folks?
Somebody said, did I swing on her?
I mean, I have been impacted injustice in the workplace myself. So, to share a quick story, working for an organization based out of Philadelphia. It was one of the worst featured or as a part. So the organization is a national organization. In Philadelphia, it was one of the ones that was one of the worst. And so I went into that with full knowledge of that, understanding how bad it was, and was able to resurrect a program that was nowhere. And after I raised money, got awareness out there for us again, then I was standing beside the CEO one day, and he said, wow, he said, it's amazing. We've got money now. We've got all this exposure, and people know who we are now. What do you think? What do you think has changed? And I looked at him and I said, you hired me, and I didn't say it to be arrogant, but I said it because how dare you, all the hours that I have spent while you at home with your family, I'm at home in the evenings, my weekends, to rebuild an area. How dare you overlook me and think that you had something to do with it? And that's just how I felt. And from that point on, when I made that statement, he systematically did everything he could to tear me down. And so eventually I left the organization, but it was a travesty and was a loss for the organization. So everything that I built, they felt like they could keep it if I was no longer there. It immediately just destroyed it, because all these relationships that I had built, they ruined.
So some of my
All right,
students,
anyone else? School?
I was just about to say that, yeah, because I know perhaps, there could be some injustice that happen in school. So do y'all kind of want to share about what happened at school? Because I know I have some school stories as well.
Y'all mind if I share a story with you guys? My name is Brian Phillips. I work for Southern University in the Ag Center. And so I think that the older you are, the more these stories, and then the closer to Jim Crow in those eras. I'm almost 50 now. So I live in the rural South down in Louisiana. I grew up in a small town next to the Gulf, probably some of the most racist areas in the world. So in retrospect to most of America. So I go to predominantly PWI, it's a predominantly white institution, UL Lafayette, get a couple of degrees over there. I go to Southern and get my master's, and I say, well, I live in Lafayette. I'm going to work at UL because I had the background in the education. I worked in the field of broadcasting for several years in television and news and print. And I talked to one of my professors that was there at the institution. I would always teach his class in broadcasting because I was doing it at the local television station. He didn't have any background in it or current background in it. So I was teaching the class for him in my undergrad years. And I went to Southern to get my master's. So I had gone back to to UL after I got my master's and say, well, is it okay if I come and teach some classes over here? Because I have some experience. And while I work on my PhD. He said, where you got your master's from? I said, I got it from Southern. He said, oh, why don't you come back over here and get your master's over here? Because, we'll respect that more, in so many words. So that put a fire in me, and I said, you know what? I started applying for jobs at Southern. I say, you're not going to knock down the HBCU that I went to because you don't respect it. I'm going to show you what an HBCU can do and who I am as a person. So that's how I end up at Southern. You're always going to have a lot of injustice in the world. I've seen a lot more than that growing up. I've had a white man point a shotgun in my face on horseback at 7 or 8 years old. I've had friends of mine die because of white people. My cousin died. They won't acknowledge that the white family down the road killed him. You can't change injustice. You can only look forward to the future that you provide for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little bit of what I experienced. And knowing it didn't change me, it just made me a little stronger.
Thank you for sharing.
That was powerful. Well, we have about 7 minutes.
Ooh. Okay, we better jump through these questions then.
Okay, let me put somebody said they got discriminated against online. Discriminated against online. Okay. Okay, next question.
Where does injustice exist in your community? The places you live, work, or go to school, if any? Work.
So let us say this a little differently. I think this may help. Is there something that's going on in your community that you would like to see change? Like, for example, I know earlier we said, I heard some students from Shreveport that were on, and one of the things, I get the news from Shreveport and I see a lot of gun violence. So is that something that y'all would like to see changed in your community? The gun violence?
It's a lot of, not only is there a lot of police violence, it's a lot, I feel like the black on black crimes and violence is kind of outweighed by the police violence. So I would like to see, like, they shouldn't, then they're, like, people can get guns from anywhere. I feel like it should be harder for people to register for a gun than just being over 18 or whatever they do. Like, guns are pretty much everywhere. So it need to be more laws set so that young folks wouldn't be able to get them.
Gotcha. I think that was very powerful what you said. There's more black on black crime than there is police brutality in your community.
You had housing, someone housing in the chat.
Housing. Does anybody have a big homeless population in your community? Is homeless an issue in your community?
In my opinion, I would think well, it is a problem, but it's not something that we just talk about.
Okay. You know, there's another injustice that happened, and oftentimes we don't think about it, but I see somebody put stores up here, but do y'all have like grocery stores in your neighborhoods where you can get like fresh groceries?
You talking about food deserts?
Yeah, that's what I was
Doc?
about to say. That's it. I was gonna ask you, it's a food deserts. Yes. So y'all have food deserts in your communities? Have y'all heard of the term food desert? I know we got some 4-H students on here, so y'all may be very familiar with food deserts.
I know we had a conversation once in my English class, like the neighborhood lakeside that's around my school. Like there's not a grocery store in that area for like some people that like some homes that don't have vehicles to transfer. Like it's not like a store they can just get to fast in the neighborhood. Would that be,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Great job, Candace.
Okay, we need to get to the next question.
All right, let's jump.
So with those injustices we just talked about, how can we address those in your community? Like, what can we do? What ideas do y'all have that we can do to address, like you said, the no food, no grocery stores in that community? What are some of y'all thoughts?
Community gardens.
Okay, community garden. That sounds like a 4-H expert in there. Community garden.
Petition.
Can you explain petitions?
Donations.
I think another one is to work with like your city council, like your city council members. They have a lot of influence with some of the policies and mandates and some of the things that's going on in the city. So I would say work with city council members.
So that goes hand in hand with voting.
Okay, voting. Mobile farmer markets. All right. Okay. Well, we have about a little bit over a minute, so we want to get to this next question. Now, this question is very important here. High school students, we need y'all to chime in on this. How can you use your influence or platform to achieve social justice in your community? Miss Candace?
Instead of posting what we think is trendy or what we think our friends would like, we should post what would be better for us or could help us in the long run in the future. Spread things that is beneficial and educating to our peers that they, by coming from us, they are more likely to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
From us, they are more likely to listen to it. Whereas it's coming from the news, they're just like, because we as young people, we don't really watch the news. We usually always on social media. So if we post it, then they are more likely to look at it and read it.
Right. Excellent. You have bring awareness to issues that may not be well known. Get involved.
All right, so we got everybody back in the main room. Hold on, they may try to steal our answers. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, we good. We good.
Candace, would you represent our group?
We don't need your answers, Dr. Harper. We good.
All right. Okay, so let me stop the screen share, and what we want to do now is transition into our discussions. So who did we have? We had Mr. Lifford and Carl Miller. I think y'all were in one room, and then I think Mr. Givens had a room, and then Tony Covington. So I'm gonna let Mr. Givens and his team go first. So Mr. Givens, did you identify a student who's able to talk to us about what went on in their breakout room?
Yes, sir, Dr. Harper. Team Change was our group, and we were having technical issues with my internet, but because we were such a strong team, strong group, Mariah and Catherine and the rest of the team just picked it up and ran with it. I was in and out internet-wise, but our spokesperson will be Mariah Morris, a high school student. And so, Mariah, are you on? You'd like to share some of the comments we had with our team change? I turn it over to you.
Okay, so first we talked about like what does social justice mean to us, and we was talking about like fairness between everyone, like no discrimination, and also we talked about injustice, what it means to you also, and that's the lack of fairness. And we also talked about giving an example of social injustice or social justice. And I said that when you're in different neighborhoods, people kind of look at you different. Like if you're in a poor neighborhood, people are not going to treat you as well as if you were in like a high class neighborhood. And we also talked about how did George Floyd death make you feel? Someone said it made them feel disappointed. I could see where they were coming from there, because why would someone want to take a person's life that meant something to someone else, taking someone from someone's family? Also, we talked about how did you feel about the riots. One person said that they felt like unity, like people come together to get fairness between the races and stuff like that. We also talked about like where have you experienced injustice in the past. One person in our group talked about like they were at like a lunch, I think, and a Caucasian came up to her and was like, "You speak so well, like you must attend LSU." And she was like, "No, like she went to Southern University, a HBCU." And another one, she was experienced discrimination in her college. Everyone was like against her, and she didn't really feel like she was really like welcome there. We also talked about how can you influence people of being like part of making a difference. Me, I'm a cheerleader at my school, and I said like people, us athletes, we are the people that people look up to. So we can do like research on injustice, social injustice, and influence people to like treat people better, make people feel worth their time living on earth. So that's basically all like that we were talking about in our group.
Good. That's good.
So much, Mariah.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's see what Mr. Miller and Mr. Hobley, let's see what they got going on in their room. I know they ought to have some good conversations in there.
We had some excellent dialogue amongst ourselves. The conversation was great. Just everybody had so much to weigh in on, which was, wonderful. We have, I know you mentioned before we broke, we have chosen a couple of people to represent our group. And so we're going to let them come and share and summarize the discussions that we had. So we have Miss Shaquinta Carter. Shaquinta, I know I may not be pronouncing your name right. Forgive me. And we have Grace Bryant, who will be coming to the floor.
In our group, we were talking about social justice and injustice, and injustice particularly stood out to me because I'm a black teenager, and we're always getting judged and characterized in one group. We're always the good people are always put into a group with the bad people, and I know for a fact that I'm a great student. I get straight A's. I'm a student ambassador. I'm in early college. So I know for a fact that I don't like being judged when I know that I'm not like other people.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. What I got was to get involved and that you can be a follower until you're ready to lead. We talked about how social media runs the generation. We talked about how injustice is still around. Somebody mentioned potholes in the neighborhood. So I guess there's still injustice there. And then we talked about George Floyd's murder. And in conclusion, had us mad, sad, and scared. Our thoughts on the riot is it was justice and unity, and because they came together for a good cause, just to get justice and fairness, stereotyping as well. I agree with what the young lady just said before me. They stereotype a lot. And that's what I got on the discussion.
All right.
All right, Brother Miller, you and Mr. Hobley, do y'all have anything about the young people that were in y'all group that stood out to y'all?
Well, I was really moved because Shaquinta, she asked a question that's very thought provoking. She basically asked us, how do we see the young generation? How do we see them? And so very, very powerful question, because we have to be encouraged and validate our future leaders. They're the ones that are going to be carrying the baton, but we have to build them up, encourage them, edify them, let them know how important they are. And I see this young generation, as I spoke in the meeting, as very educated, informed, especially during the protests. I was moved by how many were so articulate and knowledgeable about their history and what was going on. So I'm very just encouraged about the young generation that is going to be taking the baton as we pass it on to them and bring transformation to our nation.
Absolutely. Well, thank
I
you.
agree. I think there's a lot of sovereign young people that are coming to the future, to our future. As we move forward into our retirements, I think we're going to be in good hands. I saw during that process, young people get organized and put their best face on without any violence, which was just totally a proud moment. In each one of those communities where their voices, they were forcing their voices to be heard. Unfortunately, they have to force their voices to be heard or just get turned on a deaf ear. I was pretty pleased and proud of each and every one of the kids around this country, throughout the country, and basically putting their best face on to go out and protest during a pandemic with no fear.
Absolutely. All right.
So I know we're in good hands.
Absolutely. Thank y'all, brothers, for chiming in what happened in your breakout room. Sound like there was some very powerful and meaningful discussions in those breakout rooms. All right, Brother Covington, you led this. Yes, sir. Brother Covington, you led the final group. Have you identified a student who would be able to share what was discussed in that group, in your group?
Yes, Candace Gadsden will represent for us.
Just like Candace.
You there, Candace?
Oh, some mic problems.
I was trying to make sure it's quiet. Okay. Sir?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, some mic.
Hey, Candace, if you have
Can
your
you
cell
hear
phone,
me?
if you have your cell phone logged in as well as your computer, mute one of them.
Okay, we talked about a lot of issues with justice and breaking up.
She's breaking up. She's breaking up.
Yeah.
If you have your cell phone,
You said, am I on both of them?
Yeah, are you on both your cell phone and your computer?
Hello, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Maybe I should
Yeah.
get on my phone. You asked, was I on my cell phone? Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, if you're on both of them, you're gonna get that. We're gonna get feedback.
Okay. So so the first question was asked, what does that? Is that now?
you might have to turn one of the devices off.
Yeah, you got to turn one of them off.
I'm on my laptop.
Okay.
Okay. Is your cell phone anywhere close?
It is, but it's not on Wi-Fi. It's probably all these other devices in the house.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
There you go.
That's better.
Okay. Is it still breaking up?
It's in and out.
It's just in and out. Go ahead and try to do the best you can.
Okay, so social justice is a lot of things. So some of the topics that we talked about was equal treatment of women and men. As we watched the video, the basketball men and women were not treated equally.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, we might have lost her. Well, it was a great group, and a lot of things that they discussed. Their frustration with the George Floyd video, how they felt, how it impacted them, how they couldn't believe the callous nature of it. You know, there were so many different things that were discussed. Very active. It was a very, very active group, which was phenomenal because, I mean, ultimately, these are the conversations that we have to have. These are the forums that we have to have so that we can discuss the things that are going on in their specific communities, because it's different. Everybody's community is different. Everybody's story, everyone's background is very different. So it's always reassuring when you can bring folks together from different backgrounds, but still share a similar story and how they've been dealt with, how they've been handled, how they've been viewed when they walk into a store, how they've been viewed by the police, you know, the injustices that they feel, you know, when then what they see as social justices and how that it stands out to them when they see a Black Lives Matter movement, when they see the diversity in protesting, although most of them did not protest, you know, for various reasons. They have friends that did, they know people who did, and they were tuning in to what was going on. So it's great to have them engaged in the process. And I think us helping them understand that it's not enough just to protest. You know, protest is what grabs the attention, but what are the next steps? You know, and those are the marching orders that we want to help them develop.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I'm gonna be calling on, is it Miss Irby? Am I saying that right? Miss Irby was in our group and she had some powerful comments too. Miss Irby, you want to share a little bit with this audience, please?
Sure, I can. You know, I think I shared a little bit about how what happened to George Floyd made me feel. And I just stated that I just couldn't believe it was happening in this day and time, how this man could just sit there on this man's neck for that long, all that time, and nobody could help him. There was nothing. It was just unbelievable. I just couldn't. And I was watching it and I didn't want to watch it, but I couldn't turn away. It just made me so sad. And I think the young people did such a wonderful job. I truly enjoyed hearing their input. They're so insightful. And I think our future is in great hands. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll have roughly about 15 minutes and we're gonna get us out of here on time today. So I'm gonna ask Miss Dunn to share her screen again. We have a few more slides and then we'll wrap up. So Miss Dunn, if you can share your screen, we should be at the social capital screen, I do believe. Yes, okay. Brother Covington, we're gonna turn it back over to you, sir.
All right, social capital. Can I have a reader, please?
Social capital is a network of relationships and resources that empowers communities to solve problems. The conditions of social capital are inclusive of trust, engagement, networks, and agencies.
Okay, so what you'll see when you look at the diagram, you'll see the value, the network, the agency, and the trust. Those are kind of the linchpins and that create the connectivity for local government, education partners, DEI, faith-based institutions, business and community leaders, and law enforcement. So understanding kind of what that is when you hear that term, this kind of gives you a little bit more of the background and like, oh, okay, I know exactly what you mean. It is about the networks and the relationships. And that's something that, you know, as a young person, I didn't know what it meant to network or to create resources to help me get where I need to get. I didn't understand that until I was much older. So now that I mentor quite a few young athletes, student athletes, I focus on teaching them how to build these networks and build these relationships. You all being on this call with former NFL players, with adults, with professors, with teachers, those are the people that can help you build your network. So, you know, you may not have known me before this call, but now you're like, hey, I met Tony Covington on a call as a former NFL player. You know, I want to reach out to him because he may be able to help me get an internship, or I may want to lean on him on some to get some information, or he may know somebody that he can connect me with. That's how easy it is to build up your network and to build up your pipeline of resources. Because once again, those are the things that will empower your community. If you want to make a impact in your community, and in our group, we talked about engaging with city council individuals, with local politicians. You want to empower that neighborhood. You get to know them. You know, you then can talk to them about an agenda that you have for your community. You're building that resource because that empowers your specific community. And you don't have to be an adult to do that. You just have to have a desire to be the change that you want to see. So building your social capital is extremely, extremely, extremely important.
Absolutely. And can I add to that, Mr. Covington?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So what Mr. Covington just shared is important. And we did a workshop this summer in Shreveport, Louisiana, with about 3 high schools down there. And Mr. Gibbons, one of our former NFL players who was on this platform, he invited a couple of the council members to come out, the chief of police, to come out and engage with the students. So I wanted to open this up for a question to the young people on this platform. Would y'all be interested in perhaps talking to some city leaders in your communities? Would anybody, Ms. Carter, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
If you'd be interested in it, raise your hand.
I see a DeMarcel Frison on this call. Are you still on the call?
Sir.
I didn't hear from you.
I see several hands up. That's excellent. Okay, so we will make note of the hands that have been raised, and we'll make sure we get with your 4-H leaders, extension leaders, and we're going to follow up with some ideas that we would like to share from our platform and the resources we have through the Hope Initiative. So thank y'all for sharing that.
Someone put a comment in the chat. They will be
Yeah.
interested as well.
Yeah, Candace put hers in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we can go to the next slide.
All right. This is the post-workshop survey. Dr. Harper.
Absolutely. So I am posting in the chat for my students. Please look in your chat. I just posted a link in the chat. We want you to fill out this post survey. So this survey allows us to capture your thoughts, your information. We're going to compare it to your pre-survey that you filled out when we first started. So if you can go ahead and fill out this post survey, we would greatly appreciate it. We'll give you a few minutes to do that.
You have one more, Grace Bryant, in the chat is interested too, Dr. Harper.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Grace. And so while we're filling out this, while you're filling out the survey, I would like to ask some of my adults. I know that we have several adults on the platform. I want to, especially Dr. Is he still on? Let's see, Dr. Brian Phillips. He was in our group, and Dr. Phillips shared a powerful story. Dr. Phillips, are you still there?
I'm here.
Can you give us your some of your thoughts about what was discussed or the young people discussed in our breakout room while they're filling out the survey?
I found that the kids, their participation in itself matters, because once you're engaged in your thought process about injustice, you begin to it's like a seed. It sits with you for years. You get time to think about it, to be a better what's the word I want to use? I'm trying to express that if you give them the seeds and the thoughts on this, they can contemplate these ideas for years to come and be better in their social justice. Social justice isn't just, and I find that they're thinking in those terms, that social justice isn't just what people do to me, it's what I do to other people. And how do I react with other people? So I find that having these kids and hearing that they're in their thoughts on George Floyd and how did that make them feel, and those concepts built a opportunity for them to explore these feelings in the future. And they were engaged. They seem to be there for a reason. So I'm happy I joined in today to listen to that. I'm hoping that I expressed what I heard on how I felt, what was going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You hit it on the head. And what we want to stress on here, we always say we want everybody to tell their truth. We want you to be open. You're not going to be judged. You know, this is a safe space. So to all of the students, we certainly appreciate them opening, but there were a lot of adults on here that were sharing some of their personal, I'm gonna say I got a church background, their personal testimonies, right? So we certainly appreciate that. Is there anybody else who wanna, while the students are filling out their surveys, anybody else want to chime in?
How about you, Miss Tiffany?
I mean, in our group, our dialogue was absolutely outstanding. From the George Floyd conversation, but my takeaway was, and I think maybe Carl may have mentioned it earlier, is the support that we provide for our young people, because they are the ones who will be carrying the torch for us. And one question was posed, and my response was like, how do you make those changes in your community, or what can you contribute to making those changes? And my response was, be the change that you want to see. So we want to see our young people grow. We want to plant these positive seeds with them, because the reality of it is they can bring their peers. If each youth on this phone were to bring one next time, that increases our capacity ×2, right? So they are more likely to bring other youth to the table before we can invite. We've been pushing this for, a long time, but, once a youth invites another one of their peers and takes those things back that they have learned tonight, we can increase our reach. And we're just growing leaders. So cultivating the soil. So
that's good.
Well,
all right. Dr.
We have a lot of good ones, Brother Harper.
Is Dr. Dryhood?
We had a lot of good ones, brother.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dr. Dryhood?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. We need to hear from you, Dr. Dryhood, because you were the one who were instrumental in keeping us in on task and getting this thing started for all of the HBCUs who agreed to participate in this platform. So we certainly want to hear from you.
Well, I don't really have much to say except that I really enjoyed the dialogue. I really enjoyed that everyone treated it as a safe and a sacred space to share their ideas and to kind of talk about this emotional and sensitive issue. I felt like we were all learners tonight, and I really appreciated the intergenerational dialogue and the support. And I also am very appreciative for Manola and Tiffany and the other institutions because, of course, I could not have done this without them. Like we did this together, and so I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the young people who decided to spend their evening this way. And as Tiffany said, we grow leaders. So I look forward to seeing what comes out of this for the young people who attended tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have about 4 minutes. I want to open up this, know if any of my young people, do y'all have any questions or any closing remarks you want to share with us before we close out? Okay, we have something in the chat. Grace said, I like the Zoom. I learned about injustice and how it's still around today. I'm bringing my whole friend group onto the Zoom next time. All right.
All right.
All right, Ms.
I
Grace.
love that.
Love it. Yeah.
Tell her the next one is next week.
On the
Get
18th.
them in a hurry. Go get them now.
We have another one in the chat. I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. It was so inspirational. Yep, Grace, on November the 18th, we'll have another one. That will be the final one for this semester. So November the 18th. Okay, well.
That's a special day for me, Brother Harper.
What is that day, brother?
That's my birthday.
All right.
Wow.
All right. All right.
We're gonna have a party. I see another
So
one.
I'm gonna have to get permission from my wife to be.
Dr. Harper, what's that date again?
November the 18th, next Thursday.
November
Same
8th.
time, right, Dr. Harper?
Same time, yes. We have another one in the chat.
Jada, thank you guys for the birthday wishes.
Absolutely. We have another one in the chat said, thanks for making this Zoom. I feel like it was needed. I will try to bring my friends next time we do this. Once again, thanks. We have another one. I loved how it educated us about the real meaning of social justice and injustice. And I want to Grace Ann. Grace Ann, okay, Grace Ann, I know y'all friends. All right. She said Grace Ann. Well, we have 1 minute. I want to turn it over to Mr. Covington to close us out.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you all for coming, and that the work is still yet to be done. You all are underdogs. And what I mean by that is, we are looked down upon from birth, simply for the color of our skin, but we use that as a stepping stone, and not as something else. And I have something that's called the Underdog Pledge, and it goes like this. I am underdog because today is the beginning of the rest of my life. I will not be a prisoner to my past, but instead I will use it as a stepping stone to a brighter future. I am underdog because I believe in me, and even in my darkest hour, I know that I am never alone. I will overcome because I know that I can. And if I were you, I wouldn't bet against me. I am a winner. I'm a survivor. I am underdog. So I just want you to hold on to that pledge and just keep thinking about that, because you can overcome anything that you set your mind to. Life is very short. So make sure you play the whole game, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day.
All right. Well, we thank you so much.
Said, my brother. Awesome.
Absolutely. It is 8 o'clock and we're going to stop. We're going to be on time. All right. They say we're not on time, but we're on time today. So we want to say thank you to everybody. enjoy the rest of your evening. And if you're able to make it back next week on the
Mr. Covington,
Yes.
before you go, there was someone in the chat, one of the young persons in the chat wanted to know if you would share that pledge.
Okay. I will try to. How can I get that to them, Harp?
I will put my email address in the because I think it was one of my kids.
Okay.
I'll put my email address in the chat,
Okay.
and you can send it to me, and I'll make sure they get it.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it was Kennedy.
And
Yeah.
Southern would like it as well. Thank you.
Okay, so if you send it to me, Mr. Covington, I'll make sure all of the extension agents get it so they can share it with their students.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay, good.
Good
Thank you.
deal. All right, good night, y'all. We enjoyed y'all. Thank y'all so much. And much success, y'all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Good
It's nice
night.
to meet you all.